Okay, in trying to figure out which prompt to answer, I want to give you a criteria to think about, and then I want to go through those questions with you. Now, when thinking about those criteria that you really want to be envisioning, keeping in mind when choosing the right prompt, here are a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, make sure you're picking the question that makes you stand out, that makes you unique, that really talks about growth and self-reflection, compassion and humility, those key qualities that universities want. Also, think about the prompt that you're motivated to write, not just the one that may be the best fit, but the one that you're really pumped to write. Because the more enthusiastic you are about writing the essay, the more it's going to come across in how the essay comes together. And the universities want to see that. They want to see you excited about what you're writing. Another factor is that you want to use examples. Even if you pick the one that you feel is the best suited for you, the one that you're motivated to write, if you don't have examples about your life and your life experiences to talk about it, then in somebody else's essay, it's just you're speaking superlatives, you're speaking in general terms. You really want to be able to nail down your own experience and back it by example. And what you don't want happening is duplicating material that you're going to have in the common application essay, and then you're going to start putting in the supplemental essays as well. So you want to make sure it's also unique and not duplicative to you and to your rest of your application. So those are some things to kind of think about when trying to select the right prompt for you. So let's go through those essays very quickly and figure out which one makes the most sense for you. Question one is really about identity, background, talent, skill, something that really makes you stand out, right? And you really don't want to be talking about things kind of more in generalities. You really want to have something that really is unique to you, and that through that experience, kind of what really makes you stand out is you want to talk about that talent or that skill, that identity issue that you've had, how it speaks to who you are, fundamentally your core values, how they've shaped your beliefs, right? Shaped your direction and shaped your core identity in terms of what you want to do in the future, right? And we've spoken about this in other videos about living your story and so forth. This is very, very important for this question. For example, if you're if you're a pianist, right, and you love playing the piano and you love music, you want to also talk about how that's kind of shaped who you are, your ability to see different things, your ability to experience different things that other people may not be able to. Okay? Now, in terms of essay number two, which is about obstacles and challenges faced, setbacks and failures, super important question. It's been around for a long time as well. And that one you really want to kind of focus not just on putting forth what that setback was and then kind of how it affected you. You really want to talk about what you learned from it. You can only imagine how important that is to be able to say, this was a mistake I made, or this was a failure I experienced, or a massive challenge. But this is what I learned from it. Not that you're constantly going down a bad rabbit hole or a bad path, but that you've learned from it and you're able to move on from it, and what you've learned from it, how you're going to be able to apply those values and those skills, not just in the classroom, but in the school community and in your life later on in terms of job function, family, friends, and so forth. Question number three asks you about to reflect on a time where you questioned or challenged a belief or an idea. Don't just talk about it like saying, I am against abortion, I'm for abortion, and that's it. You want to talk about it in terms of an experience you had. Maybe your parent had an abortion and you would have had a sibling otherwise, or that you knew someone that had to have an abortion because they were a rape victim of some sort, right? And so you want to think about that in terms of something that really impacts you, not just a policy idea or a hot button topic or a hot button challenge, right? And a classic example is I worked with a client before whose parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and he decided at a young age to leave the church, and what that meant for him and what that really said about him and his own beliefs and his ability to kind of push back against something that he fundamentally may not have believed in anymore. So think about that, push that envelope, right? Really kind of dig into it and how it kind of speaks to you in terms of your own growth. Now, question number four, I really like. It's the one that they just included this year, and I'm going to read it to you. Reflecting on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? Now, that's an important question that just came out, and I think at the back of the whole COVID pandemic, right? And what people have gone through, celebrating frontline workers, celebrating family members, and those who really went through a lot of trauma, and kind of how it impacted you. But really, you want to kind of speak about gratitude. Here's an opportunity for not just to kind of talk about me, just yourself. You want to talk about someone else, but how it impacted you and the gratitude you have for them, the generosity of your own affection to that person and them to you. It's a really tricky question, but I think schools are really going to look forward to kind of seeing how that could be answered. So I think if COVID really impacted you, or there's something in your life where you really felt gratitude to someone that really changed something about you, a fundamental belief, this is a great way and a great essay to kind of follow suit with that. So question number 5 is really about personal growth and personal belief, an accomplishment or event or a realization that sparked personal growth and a new understanding of yourself and others. Now, this question changed slightly from previous years. It was talking about childhood to adulthood. This time they just talked about personal growth, which I think captures the essence of the question far better, right? But here again, you really want to talk about that. This is a great example where you don't have to just put it as me, but talk about the accomplishments, share that accomplishment with other people, right? And then talk about, again, how it reflected you, how you grew from that experience, how it shaped the way you look at other people. Maybe it was a travel experience. Maybe it was a realization about a political issue that you hadn't thought about, or met someone that really changed your perspective, right? In the end of the day, very, very important to kind of not just make it about yourself, but really make it about how you perceived the other person or the accomplishment itself, and how it impacted you and how that kind of changed your perspective. I think that's a very, very interesting, really important question. And again, we said it was one of the more popular questions from previous years. So question number 6, I'm going to read it. It's a classic, and it's come through in more recent years. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that makes you lose track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? This is what I really, the minute I read that question, I thought about the flow state. There's a great book called The Rise of Superman, which really talks about the flow state, the chemical balance in your head, when everything kind of tunes out and you just laser focus on an activity. That's when you know you probably love this activity, super passionate by it, right? This is an example where you don't want to necessarily just talk about just sports, but talk about something that's also intellectually stimulating, something that really kind of gets into your head, and that really you feel, I think you want to flex your IQ here, not just your EQ, not just the sports, but really your IQ, and just kind of get into that topic and why that topic is so meaningful to you. And that last part of the question, always answer all parts of that prompt. It says, what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more, right? And I think that's also important to show your resourcefulness and how you kind of extend and encompass and grab on and pull in more knowledge to be able to support your belief, your idea, your passion. Now, question number 7 is one of those really tricky catch-all questions. I did say in the beginning that oftentimes admissions committees do not necessarily even look at the prompt or focus too much on the prompt. They focus more on the essay. So here's a good example and a good place where you can really write an essay that, again, flexes who you are, that personal growth, that self-reflection, that humility, that compassion, right? The learning, right? The introspection, those key things that all these essays are really trying to capture from each student, right? And so this is a great place to do that, but do not get over creative, putting in a poem or a rhyme or something in there, or an essay that looks like you pretty much repurposed it from one school, popped it into this one just so that you can fill the space in, right? Make sure that if it is going to be an essay, it captures those key qualities and captures that criteria that we discussed in the beginning. Again, something that's unique, something that you're motivated to write, something that provides example, something that's not duplicative. And I'll add to that those key qualities that the schools look for: generosity, self-reflection, introspection, growth, compassion, those main things that the schools look for in terms of the students they want to have at their school. Well, I hope you found this useful and help get you on the right track to success. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. We'll do our best to get back to you with further resources, especially about the Common Application and college application essays in general. Now, this is going to be part of a series of videos, so make sure to check out the other videos in this series to learn everything you need to know about the Common Application, and even skills that you can glean to answer a lot of the supplemental questions and essays from other schools. In the meantime, and as always, please stay sane, stay safe, and stay connected.